Welcome to another episode of Office Hours, the recap, where we go a little deeper into the discussion that we had in our Discord room over on chatbotbuilder.ai. Let's get started.
Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're delivering a really targeted recap, specifically for you AI chatbot builders out there who couldn't make our last office hours.
Yeah, the one on April 16th. It was a good one. Lots of practical stuff came up.
Totally. So think of this as your personalized download. We're going to cover all those crucial insights, the clever workarounds that, the community hashed out. We've basically sifted through it all to bring you the really valuable bits to help you level up your bot building.
Absolutely. It was packed with real-world challenges. We had folks like Jafir, Diana, Charles, Denise brought their problems, their projects right to the table.
And we all kind of dug in together. So yeah, we're extracting the essence for everyone who missed out.
Okay, so where should we start? The WeatherBot saga, maybe? That took up a fair bit of time.
Yeah, let's do it. So Jafir had this WeatherBot based on Ryan's flow, I think, and it just kept failing. He was getting this 401 error, basically an authentication problem.
Right, unauthorized. And what was interesting, like you mentioned, Diana was seeing similar issues with her initial installs, even when the setups looked identical on the surface.
So what was the actual issue there? It wasn't straightforward at first?
No, it took some digging. This is where Charles and I did some testing. We figured out the core problem was the OpenWeather API subscription itself.
Ah, the plan level.
Exactly. The free plan, which is v2.5, it turns out that's really just for historical data lookups. If you want live weather data.
Which is what most people want for a weather bot.
Right. You absolutely need the paid v3.0 plan. That was the key blocker, essentially. Only the paid plan gives you that live access.
That's a huge takeaway right there. Match the plan to the data type. And Charles, he didn't just spot the problem, he found the fix, didn't he?
He did. He shared his solution. He said something like, I got it working after I switched the endpoint and added the full key path.
Okay, so two things there. The endpoint needed to match the v3.0 plan, and ensuring the entire key path was included in the request. Not just the key itself, but how it's referenced.
Precisely. Those small details in the API call structure are critical.
And speaking of details, Blaine chimed in with a really important point about JSON.
Oh yeah, the case sensitivity thing. Good reminder.
He basically said, JSON is case sensitive, so if you have a field name capitalized incorrectly in your flow, even by one letter.
Boom, it could break the whole thing. Easy mistake to make, especially when you're moving fast.
Definitely. So after sorting out the subscription, the v3.0 plan, and fixing those field configurations in the JSON, Jafir got it working.
He did.
Yeah.
Success. But the whole process really highlighted something else crucial.
Don't just rely on preview mode.
Exactly that. API requests, especially complex ones or ones with authentication, often just don't work correctly in preview. You absolutely have to test with a live published flow to see what's really happening.
Yeah, that's bitten me before too. Preview gives you a false sense of security sometimes.
So just to recap that point, OpenWeather v2.5, free, historical data, need live real-time weather, got to be v3.0, the paid plan.
Got it. And then there was a discussion about where exactly to put the API key. That tripped some people up too.
Right. The consensus was clear. Put the key directly in the API request URL.
Not in like a separate custom field value that you reference.
Well, you reference the parameter name like appit or whatever OpenWeather uses, but the key itself goes right after that equals sign in the URL. No brackets around it.
Okay, so directly in the URL string. And interestingly, the advice was to leave the actual weather key account field empty.
Yeah, the dedicated account field for it shouldn't be used in this specific setup with the key in the URL. Might seem counterintuitive, but that's what worked.
Okay, so verify the key, get the right plan, 3.0, pay as you go, put the key in the URL correctly, leave the account field empty, anything else.
Well, just making sure the subscription is actually active, Yeah. Sometimes there are email verification steps or payment processing things that can cause delays or issues. Basic stuff, but worth checking.
Good point. And Charles, he didn't just get the v3.0 bot working, he took it further, right?
He did. He actually customized it to display the weather widget output on external landing pages, which is pretty cool. Shows how you can extend these things.
Nice. Okay, let's shift slightly. Jafir's debugging journey, even before the API stuff, highlighted some best practices, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The fact he was struggling because fields weren't populating in preview mode really brought home that debug from start to finish idea.
Meaning, don't just look where the error pops up.
Exactly. Don't assume the problem is at the end of the flow where you see the failure.
Yeah.
You have to trace the data, trace the logic all the way from the beginning, step by step. The real issue might be way earlier.
That requires discipline, but it saves time in the long run.
Totally. And tied into that is the other big one. Label everything clearly. Always label your nodes, or future you will hate past you.
Huh. That's memorable and true. Vague labels, or worse, no labels.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
You forget what a node does, you mismatch fields because you can't tell user input 1 from user input 2. It just makes debugging so much harder.
It's like comments in code. Seems like extra work at the time, but it's crucial.
We actually walked through a broken flow versus a working one in the session to kind of show these techniques in action.
Seeing it makes a difference. Okay,
Yeah.
different challenge. Denise brought up user retention, right?
Yeah, this was a really common scenario, I think.
Yeah.
Her users needed to check their district using some external tool, so they'd leave the bot.
And then just not come back. The conversation thread was broken.
Exactly. How do you handle that drop-off and re-engage them?
Kim had a neat idea for this.
She did. She suggested a simple time delay. Wait maybe 90 seconds or so after the user likely would have gone to the external tool.
And then proactively send a message.
Yeah, something friendly like, okay, now that you know your district, shall we connect you with your rep? Just a gentle nudge back into the flow.
Simple, but effective. And the key to making that work smoothly was using action logic on buttons, right?
Spot on. You program the button clicks not just to send the user off, but to also set things up so when they do come back, or when the bot prompts them back, it knows exactly which node or part of the conversation to return them to.
So it feels seamless, not like starting over.
Precisely. Guiding them back intelligently.
Okay, let's talk calendars. There were a couple of hiccups there too. Kim mentioned one.
Ah, the time zone tangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, she missed a UK appointment because of how Google Calendar and the bot platform handled the conversion.
Ouch. A good cautionary tale about double-checking time zone settings everywhere.
Definitely. And Diana had another tricky one. Someone declined a meeting invite in their Gmail calendar.
But it still showed up as an active confirmed booking inside the bot platform.
Yeah, that's a problem. Creates confusion, potential double bookings. The systems weren't syncing the cancellation.
Which led to a pretty cool brainstorming idea, though.
The Gmail inbox monitor bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
The idea being you could potentially use a tool
To watch the user's Gmail inbox specifically for those calendar event decline notifications.
and when it detects one, it triggers an action.
Like automatically running a cancellation flow within our bot platform to update the status there too.
That kind of proactive automation, connecting external events back to the bot, that could solve a lot of these sync issues.
It's a neat concept. Needs building, but the potential is there.
All right, templates. Why are they so important? Jafir's attempt to share his weather flow kind of highlighted this.
I mean, it really did. He tried just duplicating the flow, I think, to share it.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite work because just duplicating doesn't always bring everything across reliably, especially cuffs.
Right, cuffs, which for anyone new listening are basically your custom fields, your specific configurations, the unique bits you've added to the flow.
Exactly. A template packages all of that, up the flow logic, the custom fields, the settings, into one shareable unit.
So if you want to give someone an exact copy of your flow or move it between your own accounts, use a template. Don't just duplicate.
That's the takeaway. Templates ensure accuracy and completeness.
The collaborative vibe in the office hours was great. People started suggesting shared resources.
Yeah, like the reusable debug checklist. That got some traction.
The idea being a standardized list of things to check, especially for common problems like API integrations.
Exactly, something the whole community could use and contribute to. Save people reinventing the wheel every time they hit an API snag.
And building on that, the community flow library idea came up too.
A place where people could share their working templates for things like, weather bots, district lookups, maybe basic booking systems.
So others could grab a working starting point instead of building from scratch every time.
Yeah, imagine how much that could speed up development and share best practices. It's a powerful concept for the community.
Definitely. Now, Kim also touched on the new AI agents, which were in beta. She made an interesting point about cost savings compared to, say, using Make or Zapier for lots of little tasks.
Yeah, the idea is you might pay per task or per scenario on those external platforms. If you can achieve similar results using an AI agent within our bot.
Rather than paying for each individual automation run externally.
Exactly. Handling a large volume of interactions, especially AI-driven ones, without racking up per-use costs on other services is a pretty significant advantage. We also had some great insights on multilingual bots.
Oh yeah, Diana and Rodrigue shared their experiences, right? Specifically with voice bots.
Yeah, setting up voice and phone bots to work across different languages. They mentioned Portuguese and English specifically.
And configuring the audio codes correctly was key, wasn't it? To make sure the right language prompts play out.
That's right. And Diana actually reported her bilingual voice bot was working successfully across both voice interactions and phone calls.
That's fantastic. Handling multiple languages and voice is definitely a step up in complexity. Great to see it working.
Definitely a win. And speaking of wins, we have to give a shout out to Denise.
Absolutely. Her civic engagement bot, the one users were dropping off from earlier.
Well, despite that challenge they were working through, the bot itself was getting really positive feedback from city officials. It's awesome to hear those success stories, seeing the practical impact these bots can have.
For sure. Okay, wow, we covered a lot there.
We did. It was a dense session.
So just to wrap it up then, that was our deep dive recap of the April 16th office hours. Hopefully for all you AI chatbot builders listening, you've grabbed some valuable insights there.
Yeah, tips on handling APIs, better debugging strategies, ideas for keeping users engaged, and just seeing how the community tackles problems together.
The big themes that kept coming up were really about diligence, weren't they? Like meticulous API key management, understanding those subscription differences.
The discipline of clear labeling and methodical, start-to-finish debugging, those fundamentals.
Right, and those aha moments, like Charles figuring out the OpenWeather map endpoint fix, or everyone pitching in to help Jafir sort his configurations.
Those moments are gold. They're the practical bits that can save you hours, maybe days, of banging your head against the wall on your own projects.
Exactly. So we really hope this recap gives you some actionable strategies to take back to your own bot building.
And remember, you're likely not the only one facing a particular challenge. The community is such a great resource for figuring things out together. Don't hesitate to reach out and share.
Absolutely. So final thought to leave you with, what are your biggest chatbot building challenges right now? What aha moments have you had recently that might help someone else?
Keep connecting, keep sharing, keep exploring. This field changes so fast.
Couldn't agree more. There's always more to learn, and we're all learning together. Now, go build something amazing.
That wraps up another discussion on the office hours recap. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And as always, come on over and join us in the Discord room every week live at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. See you next week.